How do we use mantra on a path to omnipotence? How's everybody doing today? I am Thomas and welcome to my channel. This is a channel about education. We learn all kinds of different things. We will learn all kinds of different things on this channel. Many different subjects. Most of the basic subjects that you're accustomed to, the 3 R's, the quadrivium, music, geometry, math, and astronomy, physics and chemistry, history, health and fitness, nutrition. We'll be getting into all those subjects in the coming months. Right now, we're focused on locking down this tree of life, because the tree of life is the foundation. If you can get the tree of life, it makes all the other subjects that much easier to understand and to organize in your head, and to really be able to integrate everything, put it all together at once in your life. So we're doing the tree of life to start with, and each day I've been rolling out one of 144 different fractal faculties. So that's kind of how we do it. The first 2/3, 3/4 of the video is just an introduction to the tree of life, and then at the end we talk about one of the 144. So if you'd like to get a list of the whole 144, so you kind of have a scorecard that you can play at home with, just click the link in the description and I'll send you out the guide to the 144 fractal faculties. Meanwhile, though, we will look at the tree of life just in its original 12 grouping. And this here is the tree of life. You've probably seen it before. It is also known as Hebrew Kabbalah, although the Hebrew Kabbalah is very different in terms of interpretation. It is the same diagram. The tree of life goes back further to at least ancient Egypt, and probably before that to Atlantis, Lemuria, and constellations unknown. And the tree of life has 10 different circles or spheres. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. They are numbered. And then they have a thing here called the abyss. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that's a total of 12 different categories, or really the tree of life is like 12 different faculties of consciousness, or abilities of consciousness, or aspects of consciousness. We'll go through real quick here, or hopefully real quick. The 10th sphere is our survival, our instinct. This is our fight or flight response. This is the state of our body, the health of the body, also the defilements of the body and the lusts of the body. This is where we're at when we start out, this is where we're at any time that our life is being threatened. Okay, then as we grow up, we begin to open up this 9th sphere, starting right from the start, but particularly in the first 5 to 7 years of life. This is really what is called the domestic consciousness, what we have in the home growing up. So what is happening here is at the 9th sphere, this is really the state of mediumistic trance. So it's a trance state of very heightened receptivity, where we're really receptive to everything in our environment. We're soaking it all up like a sponge. We're fascinated by even the most mundane little things because it's all new to us. as just little toddlers growing up. And we basically are highly receptive toward our caregivers and others that are inside our home, and we watch what they do, then we imitate what they do, and we keep practicing it till we get it, and then we memorize it. So it's a process of, you know, taking something that somebody else is doing and kind of putting it on our own body by practicing it over and over again until we have it mastered as old hat, where we don't have to think about it anymore. So it's a full transfer, and it can be, you know, accurate like genetics, really, where, you know, you're transferring qualities from one person to another person that are theoretically in the same family. Okay, then we move to the 8th sphere. The 8th sphere is similar to the 9th sphere in that it's a process of, you know, kind of following the leader or obeying. The 8th sphere, where the 9th sphere is about the domestic sphere, the 8th sphere is about the public. So the public, the conventional wisdom, and the expert opinion, the establishment, and the institutions. This is where all the resources are concentrated. This is where, you know, the politicians and the media and the robber barons and all the educational system, the church, all these are located here at the 8th sphere, the institutions of our society, and they pretty much tell us what we're supposed to believe and how we're supposed to do things. To the extent that we follow their direction, we can make it into the 8th sphere ourselves, even though we're really just kind of junior members of the 8th sphere. But we eventually can become those experts ourselves, and you know, just by following the directions, doing what they tell us to. But the problem is the 8th sphere is really where our belief systems are located and our rational faculty, and foremost among that be all the fallacies of rationalization, such as circular reasoning, and especially rationalization, which allows us to basically acquiesce to the things that the 8th sphere is telling us, even though it contradicts our own experience. So when the 8th sphere tells us that the emperor is wearing a beautiful set of clothing, but we see it otherwise, we rationalize it to convince ourselves, you know, well, there must be something wrong with my own senses, because it looks like everybody else sees the beautiful clothes that the emperor is wearing. I don't see that. I see him not wearing any clothes at all. But I'll just pretend that he's wearing a beautiful set of clothes because everybody else is doing it too. So this is how your rationalization gets you into the 8th sphere, by pretending that, you know, or giving lip service to this. It's worse than giving lip service, because, you know, when you're giving lip service to something, you don't really believe it yourself, but you're just playing along. But when you're rationalizing, you're actually convincing yourself that you do believe it, because you're rejecting things that you experienced yourself. So it becomes very problematic. The 8th sphere is where the trickster is located. So the trickster, and this is part of it, is the 8th sphere has all the megaphones. And so the 8th sphere can convince you that everybody knows that, even though not everybody knows it. Everybody's just playing along. It's not common knowledge. It is just their decree. It's what they made up. But they have the megaphone, so they convince you that everybody thinks this. But if you really had the opportunity to break it down, you would realize that the vast majority of the people don't really believe it, but they're just kind of pretending that they do for, peer pressure's sake, so that they don't get singled out and persecuted. So the asphere is this whole fake facade of, the conventional wisdom, where it's not conventional. It's just by decree. They decree this because it's convenient for them, and then they use their megaphone to convince you that everybody believes this. A lot of this is going on in society right now. Okay, now the seventh sphere is where the eighth sphere is like the real world. The seventh sphere is the imaginary world. So the seventh sphere is for people who have become disenchanted with the eighth sphere and have stopped believing the narratives that are being put out by the eighth sphere because they don't jibe with what their actual experience is. And so they wander over here to the seventh sphere using their imagination, imagining something better, imagining a different way of doing this eighth sphere, and imagining a better way. They also use other aspects of the seventh sphere in addition to the imagination, including the inspiration. They're inspired by other people who have done the same in the past. They're standing on their shoulders. And also intuition. They go deep within themselves and to figure out how they really feel about this, even beyond, what their senses have told them, but just their own, internal feeling. We all have a gut feeling about these things, and we can tap into that through the intuition. Also the creativity to create something that didn't already exist before, usually through using our pleasure principle of basically, putting things together in new ways that are harmonious, putting things together in pleasing arrangements. So all these things go into the seventh sphere to come up with alternatives to the eighth. Now, what is learned here at the seventh is eventually that the eighth sphere doesn't care whether you have any kind of alternatives or not. And so you have to develop these alternatives and popularize them on your own, which is very difficult. But you do have your inspiration to get you started. You have other people that have come before you that have done similar or the same thing. And you can use them as a beacon, but that's only the 1%. Inspiration is 1%, or genius is 1% inspiration, and then 99% perspiration. So you have to develop the 99% perspiration climbing this. This is a pyramid right here, and so you can see that this is the peak of the pyramid. So you got to climb all the way up here. That's the perspiration. And then to go further, eventually you get up to this top of the pyramid, and the pyramid inverts. And so eventually, not only are you not at the top of the pyramid goes the other way, like an octahedron. An octahedron is a double pyramid. And so you have to climb again to get from here to here. So that's where the 99% perspiration comes from. But really, when we start with the sixth sphere, then what we have is our free will faculty. And this is the center of the map. This is where we are located. This is us. Okay, and our essence is this free will faculty, which boils down to our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. Okay, we are located here, but we are generally paying attention to the 8th, 9th, and 10th sphere. That's what we're paying attention to in our normal state, because this is what is comfortable for us. This is what we grew up with. This is how we learn to start with. And so the key aspect of the free will is the ability to make decisions, and to make that decision to avert our attention from that lower matrix here and to put our attention on our higher aspects, which is overcoming fear, because anytime you put your attention on our higher aspects, you're looking mainly at the unknown, because these areas aren't well developed, unlike this area here, which is well developed. So we're looking into the unknown, and we have to be able to overcome a level of fear there. And then when we look at the fifth sphere, we see this, the fifth sphere is where we first point our attention. And the fifth sphere is our sense of justice, or karma. So karma is based upon violence, waste, and violation. So when we can conceive of a mirror right here. As you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What comes around goes around. This is the way that we can communicate with our karma. When we act, we get feedback. If we pay attention to the feedback we get, we can clean up our actions. Because if we get violated by our karma, that means that we were violating somebody in the first place with our action. So we recognize, that our behavior is not optimal, and we have to clean up our own behavior here. Okay, the fourth sphere is kind of like the counterpart to the fifth sphere. This is our sense of justice. This is also the enforcement of the natural law. This is the articulation of the natural law in a cosmology or holy book, theory of everything, something that took generations to put together. And we here can study cosmology. We can study the holy books. But in my opinion, it's better to study many of them, different ones. They have different perspectives but each one has the benefit of being based on observation and experimentation and experience and investigation, as opposed to decree. So these here are attempting to figure out what the truth is about things. That doesn't mean that they're all right, but it means that if we study that, we can catch up and we can figure this out. And we can have an understanding of the universal law, the universal language, and the universal love. Those are the universals that also are encompassed by the fourth sphere. Okay, so then we move to the abyss. And the abyss is our psychic powers. This is our ability to tune into, which is the psychic receptivity, and to recognize omens, and then to be able to act upon the omen, which is our psychic heat. So psychic receptivity to recognize the omen, and then psychic heat to be able to act upon it. Okay, then we get to 3, 2, and 1. These are our divine faculties within. Omnipotence, all-knowing. Omnipotence, all-powerful. The ability to do anything that's humanly possible. Omniscience, all-knowing. The ability to understand anything possible, but that is humanly possible. And that is wisdom, our ability to solve all our problems, or really to avoid the problems in the first place. And we tap into this through sound synchronization. We tap into this through coherent light. And then the first sphere is omnipresence, all present, all at once, eternally. We tap into this through getting to and becoming our deepest center, making presence with our deepest center, or our core, our higher self, our singularity. And once we do that, we recognize that what's at our core is the same as what's at everybody else's core. And so this is a unification process. We are unified through this first sphere, through our omnipresence. And then the 0 above the tree is for the mystery and the nothingness of the universe, where this is how the creator of the universe reserves this for itself. So the 0 is not part of the universe, but the 0 is part of the creator. And you can see this even in math, where the 0 is not part of the universe, but by using the 0, people made huge strides in mathematics by, kind of accepting the concept of the 0, even though they knew that there is no such thing as 0. Okay, now that's the beginner's take on the tree of life. To get to the more advanced lesson, then what we're doing is we're taking the whole tree and boiling it down to putting it into miniature size, and then apply the whole tree to each sphere. So you break down the 7th sphere into its 12 parts. You break down the 9th sphere into its 12 parts. Break down the 6th sphere into its 12 parts. So 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, and so on, for a total of 12, which is then a total of 144 fractal faculties, or stages of life, consciousness, spirituality, and history. Those stages, however, though, are not chronological stages, but they are dramatic stages. So this is 144 different dramas that we have to negotiate, and that's kind of the more intermediate a way of learning the tree. It's just a pedagogical development. It's a way to help us understand kind of the nuances of each sphere. And again, if you want to click the link in the description, I'll send you out a copy of that for free. Now, today we're looking at stage number 104. How do we use mantra on a path to omnipotence? Okay, so you may know then, or may understand at this point, that we're talking about the 3rd sphere when we're talking about mantra synchronized sound. And within this 3rd sphere, we're actually talking about the 3rd fractal of the 3rd sphere. So this is kind of like the essence of the 3rd sphere. Number 100, it's actually number 105. I switched fairly recently. So number 105, creative, is called creative formulae. Formula plural, or formulas. Stage number 105 is about the combinations of the syllables that unleash specific powers when synchronized for their systematic use in life situations, similar to chemical formulas. Omnipotence is about fulfilling our potential. We all have many abilities, but most are untapped. Mantra enables us to tap all of our faculties. Each sphere can be accessed with mantra, combined with the proper rhythms and synchronization, along with visualizations. The creative formulas or sentences are called hekau, or heka is a singular. Hekau do not work for selfish purposes. They must be underlaid by a genuine detachment from lower interest. Our personal pleasure must follow our will, not the other way around. Mantra is a trick to occupy the left brain with words that are meaningless, the hekau. Meaningless sentences. They have no meaning, but they have power. And using the hekau, we occupy the left brain, and it shuts down thinking. We are voicing sentences that have no meaning, only power. And in the reciprocal system, in the universe of motion, power is 1 over space, or energy per time. Energy is T, time over space, and then per time, so that's 1 over space. And the key syllables for each one of the spheres is 9 is va, V-A, 8 is ai, A-I, 7 is kli, K-L-I, 6 is hri, H-R-I, 5 is hori, H-L-R-I, 4 is shri, S-H-R-I, 3 is kri, K-R-I, 2 is hu, and 1 is hu, H-U. 1 is au, A-U. And these syllables have to be grounded with, by ending it with NG, K, or M. And the sentences themselves, to begin, start with aung, A-U-N-G, which is the first sphere. So the first sphere is the, identification with the higher self to start the sentence. Then we must synchronize the hekau with breathing, achieved by repeatedly nesting something inside itself, called recursion. So we have to repeat over and over and over again. Breathe in at the count of 1, 2, hold the breath for 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then out for 7 and 8, and then back to the start over and over and over again and again and again. So this is repeatedly nesting something inside itself while we chant the mantra silently in our head. The hekau provides the structural framework like a funnel that orders their coming into being, whichever power the hekau is summoning. Sound waves must be translated into images. Chanting fills the time with a set of images. Structures that are structures woven into the energy matter substratum, depending upon frequency. There is an inverse relationship between music and geometry, a structure in time over space. For example, a scale is a spiral. An octave comes back around to the same spot, but on a higher level. Music is audible geometry, while astronomy is visible geometry. Musical harmonies as geometric shapes. The hekau generate the underlying etheric structure of the channel or funnel. Omnipotence is based upon the principle of plenitude, not a granting of rights, but a limitation of the fundamental laws. If it is not forbidden by the laws of nature, then it occurs. All right, that is the number 105, creative formulas, and that is a third fractal of the third sphere. So that is the kind of the omnipotence aspect of omnipotence, and that's where we're introduced to the kind of the elements of the mantra. And there are many different schools about how to do mantra. And this is just kind of the very introduction to that. You can either learn these skills through a book or instruction or a group, or I believe that you could also be able to intuit them if you can get yourself clear enough to go that deep into your, into your intuition. Okay, well, thank you for sticking around again, and click the like button if you would be so inclined. Also, you can share the video with others. You can subscribe to the channel, and you can click the link in the description to get those 144 fractal faculties from me for free. And you can wait until tomorrow to tune in again to figure out which one is he going to talk about tomorrow. And we will find out, because I don't even know myself at this point. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.